divine paradox, why God hides inside both the light and the shadows. Have you ever looked into the eyes of someone who radiated light, pure, gentle, healing light, and thought, this is what divinity must feel like? And yet, have you also stood in the presence of someone who carried a darkness so profound, so ancient, that it terrified you, and still, something deep inside whispered, this too is sacred? We're going to take you on a journey today that most people aren't ready for. A journey that questions everything you think you know about God, about good and evil, about chosen ones. Because the truth is not black or white. The truth is beyond the spectrum. In fact, the truth might be that God plays both sides not as a judge, but as the player, the field, and the game itself. So let me ask you a question that could shatter your current perception of reality. What if the light and the dark are both expressions of divine favor? What if both are being used to evolve consciousness, just in radically different ways? We grow up believing that light is good, dark is bad, that angels belong to God and demons belong to the enemy, that chosen ones walk in purity and the rest wage war against them. But this is a child's version of reality. This is spiritual kindergarten. And if you're watching this, you're here to graduate. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I met two people in the same week. One was a woman who had spent her life in silence, prayer, and healing. Her energy was like soft rain. People cried in her presence. They called her an angel. The other was a man who had spent decades in the occult, a shadow worker. He had walked through the darkest realms of the human psyche. And yet his insight into the soul, into truth, into the raw mechanics of the universe was unshakable. He radiated a different kind of power, not comforting, but real. Not gentle, but revealing. I asked myself, which of them is favored by God? And then I realized, that's the wrong question. The real question is, what role are they playing in the divine unfolding of consciousness? You see, the light-chosen ones are here to hold the vision, to remind us of our innocence. They are the carriers of peace, love, unity, hope. They dwell in the higher frequencies: compassion, gratitude, forgiveness. They heal, they stabilize, they anchor the divine blueprint on earth through their purity. But the dark chosen ones are not villains. They are the disruptors, the initiators, the ones who walk through fire so that others may witness transformation. They embody the archetype of the destroyer, not to harm but to burn away illusion. They carry the medicine of discomfort. They awaken through contrast. They are the midwives of death, not physical death, but ego death. And both are necessary. Because without darkness, light has no context. Without resistance, growth has no fuel. Without death, rebirth is not possible. So who does God favor? God is both. Let's go deeper. Imagine life as a massive game of evolution. Every soul plays a part. Some are here to build, others to break, some to comfort, others to provoke. And sometimes the same soul switches roles across lifetimes. The saint in one life becomes the sinner in another. The healer becomes the wounded. The victim becomes the villain. We call this karma. But it's not punishment. It's balancing, realignment, a cosmic rhythm that ensures no energy goes unlearned, no lesson goes unfelt. So when someone awakens to their divine purpose, whether in light or shadow, they become a chosen one not because they are better, but because they are aware. Awareness is the true mark of favor, not morality, not appearances, not how many people they've helped or hurt, but whether they are conscious of their role in the divine symphony. And this is where it gets even deeper, because light-chosen ones often suffer deeply. They feel misunderstood, alienated, overwhelmed by the density of this world. Their sensitivity is a gift and a curse. They absorb pain like sponges. They often try to save everyone. And that can lead to burnout, martyrdom, even spiritual bypassing. Meanwhile, dark chosen ones face inner torment. They wrestle with shadows most people run from. They are judged, feared, exiled. Sometimes they isolate themselves out of self-protection. and their journey is one of alchemizing poison into power. Their task is not to avoid darkness, but to master it and then return with the wisdom. So again I ask, who does God favor more? The one who chooses peace, or the one who wrestles with demons to bring back light for others? It's a trick question, because both are expressions of divine love. Both are acts of service. Both are sacred. Here's the danger of only favoring the light. We create a spiritual hierarchy. We say, these people are more godlike. These ones are lost. But that's not how the universe works. In fact, many of the most powerful light-chosen ones were once dark ones who transmuted their pain into healing. And many dark-chosen ones are currently holding space for the collective shadow so that others may awaken in peace. And if you're watching this, you might be both. You might have walked through hell and now carry heaven in your eyes. You might have made mistakes so big you thought you were unredeemable, but now you feel something stirring, or a call, a sense that you were always chosen, not despite your darkness, but because of it. So here's the practical advice. Stop trying to choose between light and dark. Instead, ask, what is my soul here to express in this moment? Sometimes it's love. Sometimes it's truth. Sometimes it's fierce boundary. Sometimes it's soft forgiveness. Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's roar. Each moment is a sacred choice, and each choice reflects a different face of God. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be real. You are here to be awake. The hidden alliance, how light and dark chosen ones conspire for humanity's evolution. In the unseen realms beyond human perception, beyond the veil of our waking dreams, something extraordinary is happening, something sacred, something ancient. The light and dark chosen ones are not enemies. They are not opposites in a war of good versus evil. They are collaborators in a divine experiment, spiritual agents on opposing ends of the same spectrum, playing out roles that appear contradictory, but are in fact deeply synchronized. They are the hands of the same cosmic clock, ticking on either side of destiny. The light-chosen ones hold space for the future. They carry the codes of compassion, unity, and divine remembrance. They are the ones who remind the world what is possible. But the dark-chosen ones, they shake the foundations. They are the shadow midwives, the catalysts who stir the sleeping soul awake by force. Their methods are not soft. They provoke, they mirror, they challenge. They often look like the antagonist, and yet their presence forces the light ones to rise, to sharpen, to evolve. Have you ever noticed that your greatest growth came not from peace, but from pressure? That your deepest clarity came not in comfort, but through chaos? This is the hidden alliance, a sacred contract written in the language of the soul before incarnation. The light ones say, I will hold the vision. The dark ones say, I will test its strength. And together, through collision and contrast, they build a new world. In the grand architecture of awakening, the dark ones are like demolition crews, knocking down the false temples of ego, illusion, and fear. The light ones come after, planting seeds where ruins once lay. But both are essential. Without destruction, there is no space for creation. Without shadows, light has no outline. What if the very person who hurt you the most was also your greatest teacher? What if that betrayal, that failure, that darkness was the exact medicine your soul needed to activate its mission? This is not a call to glorify pain, but to understand its sacred role. Nothing in your life has been random. Every soul you've met was part of the hidden alliance. Let's be honest, this truth is hard to swallow. We want our villains to be villains. We want our heroes to be pure. But the real world, the spiritual world, is far more complex. A light-chosen one may fall into pride, spiritual ego, or denial. A dark-chosen one may awaken to their own light through their descent. The lines blur because the soul is not linear. It spirals. It learns through paradox. And the moment we reject one polarity in favor of the other, we fall into separation, the very illusion we're here to transcend. So here's the most advanced spiritual question you can ask yourself right now. Where inside me do the light and dark still fight each other? And what would happen if they stopped fighting and started listening? Because the real mastery isn't choosing one side. It's holding both. It's walking as the light while understanding the dark. It's healing others while still unlearning your own pain. It's being the fire and the water, the sword and the hand that heals. This is what makes a soul truly chosen not by God over another, but as an expression of the totality that God already is. The final trial, why true favor lies in those who integrate the whole self. There's a moment on the path where you stop asking, "Am I one of the chosen ones?" and start asking, "Am I willing to become whole?" That's the turning point. That's the final trial. Because God doesn't favor the ones who sparkle the brightest or walk in the most shadow. God favors the ones who integrate, the ones who stop running from themselves, the ones who turn inward, sit with the unbearable, and say, "I see you. I accept you. You are part of me." That's not weakness. That's the highest form of spiritual courage. Because when you integrate the parts of yourself you were taught to deny, your anger, your fear, your hunger for power, your wounds, you don't become less divine. You become more. You become real. And the real ones, the integrated ones, carry a frequency that bends timelines. They create harmony not by choosing sides, but by embodying the truth that all sides exist within the one. And that one is you. Let's bring this down to earth. Integration is not just a mystical idea, it's a daily practice. It's when a light-chosen one stops pretending they're always gentle and lets themselves express righteous anger when injustice shows up. It's when a dark-chosen one stops punishing themselves for their past and allows themselves to feel joy without guilt. Integration is when you stop trying to be a role and start becoming the soul. This doesn't mean you abandon all moral compass. It means your compass becomes internal, grounded in presence rather than performance. When you act from truth, not from a need to be seen a certain way. This is why favor isn't about what you look like to others. It's about how aligned you are with your essence. Your alignment is your favor. Your embodiment is your favor. Your willingness to become whole, even when it's messy, even when it costs you comfort, is what makes you chosen not by some external deity, but by your own soul's agreement with the divine. So now I ask you, with everything we've uncovered, who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when the mask drops, the lights go out, and it's just you in the mirror of your own being? Because that's where favor lives. Not in applause, not in titles, not in who calls you a light worker or a shadow master. Favor lives in the quiet moments where you choose truth over illusion, love over fear, presence over performance. That's the real initiation. That's the final trial. And when you pass it, when you become a living integration, a walking paradox, a soul who holds both heaven and hell in balance, you realize God never had to choose between light and dark, because God chose you entirely, as you are, as you've always been. The question was never who does God favor. The question was, when will you finally favor yourself enough to awaken into wholeness?